Okay, we're gonna get started in just a couple minutes. All right, welcome to our team meeting today. First things first, I don't know if y'all heard this or not, but Keller Williams was ranked #1 in the country based on agent count, sales volume, GCI. Woohoo! And then KW Utah won Best in State for the 7th time. So congratulations, y'all. Couple of bad mama jammas. So obviously with those are my bucket fills. Who else has a win or bucket fills gratitude?
Mine's a little delayed, but I wanted to thank Linda and Liz and Kirsten and Kelly and Chris for coming to my birthday party. All you others.
I was out of town and off grid completely. No cell phone service, no way to get a hold of me, even if you tried all weekend. And as much as she hates it, I want to thank Rachel because she handled a pretty sticky situation on a contract flawlessly.
I want to thank Lee, and if there was anybody else involved in helping get Diana Kokoska here last week, that was an awesome event. So yeah, it was really well done and really what we needed. It was great. Thank you.
Love it. Other bucket fills, wins. I'm sure y'all have some things to be grateful for. I mean, it's going to be like 64 degrees outside today. So, I mean, that I'm wearing yellow. That's something to be grateful for. Who knows what's coming up on Saturday? Casino night and that, but casino night. So that's something to be grateful for, and also grateful for Samantha and Kirsten for planning that as well. And they're going to talk about a little bit later. All right, anything else? Anyone else wants to share the love? Okay. Welcome to all of our new agents, guests, and visitors. Do any visitors want to say hi and introduce themselves? Yay. I knew my eye contact was going to do it.
I'm Wyatt with the On-Site Home Inspections. You may have seen us around. Just saying hey to everyone.
Perfect. Okay. And then our Cultural Icon Award, I don't see Josh in the room, so I'll speak for him. So our icon of last week, we talked about the person that was going to get this award, and we kind of texted back and forth about it. You know, she's been showing up to all the Do It With You classes. They have been putting in the work. They're always willing to lend an ear, lend hugs, everything, and just such a bright light in the office. And that goes to Cammie. Woohoo! I don't have it with me, but I will get it for you. But you can, you know, yeah. But let's go ahead and say our Y4C2Ts together. So win-win or no deal, integrity, do the right thing, customers always come first, commitment in all things, communication, seek first to understand, creativity, ideas before results, teamwork, together everyone achieves more, trust starts with honesty, equity, opportunities for all, success results through people. I love it. Perfect. All right, so on to Kimber's corner, and we have a little video to play as well.
Well, hello, everybody. So we are talking about a really cool thing, probably was mentioned to you last team meeting. I wanted to give you a demo. It is the newest feature on the Agent Hub, which is 100 days of social media content. Spring into social media, whatever you want to call it. We want to take the guesswork out of what you post and help you more actively engage in your socials. So each week you will have a fresh new set of 7 days of don't have to think about it, captions, templates. Some of them will be reels, some of them will be posts. That is strategic, that is by design. That will help you over time engage with all of the people that are followers or yet to be followers in the different ways that you can. So how you're going to access this is go to the Agent Hub and log in if you have not already. So then you will have this awesome button right here that will just say 100 days of social media. As with all of our features and services that we have available on the Home Hub, you'll have 3 tiers: do it yourself, which is all the content below that I'm about to share with you; done for you, which is I love all these templates. I would like you to brand all of them, edit the text box, add my info, and then deliver the content to me. Pro is where we would go do all of that, but then we would personalize it to you. We would schedule a content day with you and get some video of your image and likeness and really just enhance all of those templates and those posts that we are sharing with all of you if you so choose. So lots of different features or services, I guess you could say. Let's just focus on the templates though. Week 1 was last week, so it was our intro week. So you can see we already have a lot of content available for you. We're tweaking the layout of this page a tiny bit, so this might even look different when you look at it, but week 2 is already available. We are on week 2 right now. So even today, you now have a quick template to go share. Here's what I'm doing this week. I hear, at least specifically on Friday and Saturday, we have got epic weather ahead. So now you've got a nice little template where you can go engage with people and say, here are a couple of ideas for things to do this weekend. Again, just kind of helping people connect ideas, connect to the community. That's kind of the underbelly of what we do as real estate agents, right? And then obviously the fun things about our business and where we know best, right? Things that add value to homes, your testimonials, your frequently asked questions. So we're taking the guesswork out of it. Also, I have below content locations. These are some agents that we have close relationships with, either in other offices or just friends of the industry, where we can arrange those times on there. They are available for us to go film content there. So just even then, you don't even have to think about where would I go film a video. You could go do that there. So this is your next 100 days. I am so excited to engage with you on this more. We'll be even teaching classes more around this, but this is all available to you and it's going to be fresh and updated every 7 days. I'm excited to see what you guys do with this, and we'll talk to you soon.
Y'all, who's excited? That's so cool. 100 days of content free for you to use. So, I mean, I think I follow most of y'all now on Instagram. If I don't see y'all posting, I'm going to be so disappointed. Not mad, disappointed. It's worse. So, next up, we have Broker Dave coming up, y'all.
Old guy got steps in. Okay, so you guys know the content here is basically on questions that you guys will hit me up. And generally speaking, it takes 2 or 3 of the same question from different agents for me to go, oh, maybe I ought to cover this. So I'm going to go back to real estate school here. Y'all are engaged in the business of selling it. Not necessarily. So, what's the purest form of ownership of real property? Okay. What is fee simple ownership? Okay. Y'all remember back, and I remember some of you last week. There was a graphic at real estate school that showed a bunch of sticks. And at the end of each one of those sticks had a right. And each one of those rights comprise fee simple ownership. right to quiet enjoyment, right to possess, right to occupy, right to sell, right to mortgage, all of those rights, okay? And so when a seller has fee simple ownership and they are selling to a buyer, they are selling all the sticks that they have in their bundle, right? Where do you find out where or what sticks the seller has? Title report. We're all the way up to day 3 of real estate school. Yeah, you do a title search, and the preliminary report for title insurance is going to show you certain things that are on the property that you're going to have to address, right? And there's a section at the very beginning above the line that has things that you can't change, right? The standard exceptions on a title report policy. Are y'all looking at the title report? So when you do a preliminary search for title, what do you do with that preliminary search? What do you do with that PR? Forward it to God. We've had several here in this last week where our clients didn't see the PR, and our agent said, "Well, it was clean, so I didn't need to." Okay, no. We don't make decisions. We don't evaluate. We don't all that kind of thing. Okay, so now you have fee simple ownership, and the clients are aware that there are standard exceptions, and those standard exceptions are deed restrictions, right? Okay, and so I have fee simple ownership. I take this property, I look at it. The top section basically gives the state and the local community the right to tax, the right to, and all those things. Those are standard exceptions, right? Okay, can't be changing those things. One of those says right to existing lots in the community. So that subscribe to, right? And down below there, it shows that they've got a mortgage paid off and put claims on it. All these things are what we generally focus on. But keeping in mind that top section where they're played by lots is still there, right? Okay, so now let's take it one step deeper. You're selling a property and there's a tenant in the property. What is the seller selling you? They can only sell you the sticks that they have in their hand. Okay? Those bundle of rights, right to quiet enjoyment, right to occupy, that stick they gave to a tenant based on a lease agreement. So the seller can only sell you the lease or the sticks that they have in their hand, right? So if I'm looking at a property and it has a tenant in it, what do I want to see? I want to see the lease agreement. I don't want to necessarily evaluate it, but I want to see the lease agreement. What would I also probably want to do? In the commercial world, they are called what? He's trying to get the answer. Estoppel certificates. You know what estoppel certificates are? It's the tenant's understanding of their rights in that lease. Okay, so you can make sure that the landlord and the tenant are on the same page. Lease expires here, they're going to give up possession, here's a deposit, how much goes back to the buyer, and all of that, so you can put it in front of your client so they know what's going to happen in the future, right? Is a landlord the same as a seller? Could be. The seller may have the landlord hat on part of the time, right? So all of your addendums where you refer to the seller doing something with a tenant, does the seller, by definition, have the right to do anything with the tenant? It's only the landlord-tenant agreement. It's kind of what I'm saying. And so make sure you know which hat you're wearing, because you can't have a landlord agree to something in a buyer-seller agreement because the landlord with that hat doesn't have any rights to that agreement. Same way the seller doesn't have the rights in the lease agreement between landlord and tenant. You sell that property, the landlord may change, right? Do the terms of that lease. Oh, okay. Basic real estate, right? So now you've got some people that are saying, hey, this is a great deal. Good tenants. For a month. Then I'm going to do an Airbnb. Make sure it's a city says it's good, guys, because again, with standard exceptions, you are taking it subject to the rules. Okay. Our short-term, aka transient rentals, the same in every municipality? No, they're not. And so for you guys to give a blanket answer on whether or not it's a cash cow as an Airbnb might take a little bit further investigation. By who? By clients. We have a couple of situations this week where we told them what a cash cow was going to be. It's not approved. It's not a cash cow. Matter of fact, that cow's pretty much milk dry. Okay. Now they have to go find a long-term tenant in a place where it's not really working for them. Okay, or they can go back and try to find one. Or they can do what is American state pastime, threaten to sue the real estate agent. Okay, and we have text messages where it says, "Oh, this will make a great Airbnb." Okay. Again, our job is to give them the ability to make a decision for themselves. Okay, municipalities are all different. Salt Lake City, I was telling our most of her market floated downstream last week. I feel bad for them.
Yeah.
Uh,
We're dry now.
Salt Lake City a few years ago, they had no idea how many people were in Salt Lake City. Okay? They were having a hard time judging use and all that. Hey, tell us, what do you thought? Everybody thought it was a setup. No, we're not. Then they came back and they said, okay, tell you what, we get it. Here's a moratorium. We're not going to make you change anything. Just tell us what you got. A lot of people went in there and got their rental agreements, and it was expressed to figure out who's in Salt Lake City. Some people thought it was fake. Well, now when those people are turned in, they go back to that book and said, you didn't voluntarily come down here. Change your fourplex back to a single family home. Okay, they gave you an opportunity. So you're dealing with a lot of sellers out here that were given an opportunity and may have been operating this way forever and a day. Doesn't mean diddly to your buyer. Okay? And you're not the one that's supposed to be making the decision. You're supposed to tell the buyer, here's the rule book, here's the planning, zoning, here's the question. Planning and zoning was another question this week. Why can the city deny you a for our CE around here, I think we're going to go back to real estate 101. Health, welfare, and safety of the public. Those are the only things that a municipality can deny health, welfare, or safety of the public. That's how they set up the master plan. How they set up whatever. Welfare of the public, you don't want to put a toxic waste dump in the middle of the go in there and that. A lot of times you go into communities like that, they basically said we can't pay and build formal. So we're going to take responsibility. So we're going to so we'll take care of the infrastructure, take care of the plumbing of the roads. We'll take care of all that stuff. That's basically the way to go. saying that, we've had some changes in our community. A lot of things that have been overlooked because of history, like because of some other changes they're going to take a look at permitting. For example, Salt Lake City, we had a gentleman here back negotiations and squeeze a lot of people into, you know, places. The city is actually understanding with the needs of the population and trying to still going to come back to what property fits into the health welfare of the public. And you may in fact have, you know, ground grenade, the infrastructure, and it might have parking, and the streets might not be big enough to conform to the safety of the public. So you still might get turned down, so nothing is a rubber stamp. Okay. The same goes with transient and short-term housing. Park City is different than Salt Lake City. Salt Lake City is different than Plano. So you need to truly, as you're selling one of these that has a history and a great potential, let's provide those things to the people so they can make a decision. And don't put emails together that say this is a done deal. Nothing's a done deal. That's a standard exception above the line that can't be changed. The rights of.
Thank you, thank you. And we have some great trainings coming up. Scan the QR code to get a link to our Google Calendar. Our trainings coming up are all around buyer presentations, so you can learn from our very own cultural icon, Cami, or head over to KW Utah and learn from Robin and ILC. All right, now we have our market talk with Josh Stern. Wow, so dapper. There you go.
Okay, hopefully we got some of this data. One of the things that I've been doing for a long period of time is just tracking the market, week to week. So when you talk about building systems, so much of what I'm trying to help you guys do is to provide content to where you guys eventually have these systems sort of in place that you just do all of it yourself, right? Because all of this is replicatable. It's to do it. Right? That's, you think about the 8x36 touch and all of this, do it with stuff. One of the other things that I do every single week is I create what I call a market stats report. I started doing this when the market began to change. We'll see if we can get a big version of it up there. But I started doing this when the market began to change in the beginning of 2022 when interest rates started to go up. I thought, well, I better be tracking what's actually happening. I don't think anybody knew exactly what was going to happen. But the thing that you can do is you can soak your mind in useful data on a week-to-week basis to help you guys get information, to help you guys really educate your clients. I talk about this all the time because I was taught we are to be the local economist. Right? Knowledge is the currency that we spend to earn our clients' trust. And so what we're trying to do is make sure that we're educating ourselves in a way that we can educate our clients. Because in the end, what we're hoping for is that our clients, when they're thinking about buying, selling, or investing, but then they're reading all the scary headlines because there's not a single person in this room or in your sphere of influence that isn't reading scary headlines. Get used to it because that's probably going to be like the next 3 years. That we're going to have to just be educated, right? So the more educated that we are, the more likely it is that our clients are going to come to us when they're like, hey, I was thinking about doing this, but here's what I'm reading. What do you think? And now you have real data that you can come back in on. So there's a couple of things that I do, and is it one of them? Let's go to the other one of those. And I don't know if it's big enough, but let me just, no, this is the market stats. I'm gonna share it. Can I just share it with you? And you can look at it. So there's, yeah, this thing that's in like microtype there, I actually want you to see it. So I'm gonna see if I can share it quickly.
Or a late tree too. If you guys
That's a
want to
little
pull
bit
it up
better.
on your screen.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's right. You guys can scan the UCAR, that thing, and then bring it up. But this is something that I want to walk you through so you understand a little bit about what I'm doing for myself each week. And a lot of this stuff is the same stuff that ends up showing up in your Numbers That Matter videos. A lot of this stuff is the stuff that shows up in the newsletters that we create. Again, it's all being the local economist, and so it's always having a view of what's happening on the market from a week-to-week basis. And so, you know, at the top of what you guys are looking at, you're going to see that every single week I track the amount of active properties that are on the market. For a long time, we had a hard time breaking through the active properties of 10,000 active listings in Utah. For whatever reason, that was like the Hodor line. It's just impossible to get above that amount for years. We broke that amount for the first time, I think in 4 years last year, and we just got to that amount above 10,000 active listings 5 weeks ago. And so if you're looking at the document that I provided to you on the very far left-hand side, you're going to see the oldest number first, and then as you move to the right, it moves to the newer numbers. And so often on these market reports, you guys will have access to this. Every single week, I just make a new copy and redate it. So I always save the old one. But on this document, I like to have a few weeks or a month worth of data sitting right in front of me at any given time so I can see trends myself. So for instance, this week on Monday, we had 10,771 active listings on the market. That doesn't mean anything to me. If I just look back a week, I can see there were, 300 fewer, but I can see the trend. The more weeks that I put on one document, I can visually see the trend. So typically I'll keep about 4 weeks worth of data on one document at any given time. And that's mostly for my mindset. Nate, you've got a question back there. Yeah, this is the entire MLS. So this is, I would like to say it's a state, but you know how Park City is. They're super special. So anyway, we can see a trend in growing inventory. Now, what I would say is that this is pretty normal. But what I did is I went to the Utah, the rapid stats inside of the MLS just to look at year over year active listings. How does that compare year over year? And our active listings are actually up 44% year over year. Yeah, I know it seems like, oh my gosh, the sky would be technically falling. But if you look at the bottom of that first page, where you can see the green, you can scroll down just a little bit for me. That's part of the rapid stats. This is also year over year data. So even though that you've seen the listing inventory, pick up 44% year over year, what else is happening? Our sold volume is up 5% year over year. Does that jam with the national trend, by the way? Anybody follow national economics? No, isn't that interesting? Did anybody see the number 2 or read the number 2 video for the Numbers That Matter? We talked about Utah being number 2 in the nation in terms of job growth, 13.6% jobs created post-COVID in Utah. The only state that beat us was Idaho. That's really useful for us to know because the other number that mattered last month was the number 19. Does anybody remember what the number 19 was? Anybody? The number 19 was essentially saying 19% of people that want to sell their home, which 48%, according to a recent Zillow survey, 48% of sellers want to sell their home in the next 3 years. 1 in 5 of those want to do it this year. So that doesn't surprise me then to see our active inventory going up 44%. And it certainly doesn't surprise me knowing that Utah has such a great economy that we're selling more homes year after year. But what's the direction of the market? Is it going up? Is it going down? Well, look at the active contracts. What percentage are the active contracts up year over year? It's there. It's the green arrow on the right. Almost 10%. So our under contracts are up almost 10% year over year. So again, this type of data becomes really useful. I always look at, how many homes come active in the last 7 days. That's at the top of this, if you want to scroll back to the top. I always look at what our pending volume looks like. And notice our pending volume, if I look up here on the screen, I've got 3 weeks worth of that, right? We had a big bump here, and then we went down. Well, the big bump I would expect to see in springtime. Also, we've seen some rate improvement, even though it's not a great amount of rate improvement. It's what it's been, it's consistently moved down over the course of the last 5-6 weeks, right? And so with that, coupled with spring, you're going to see more people coming in to take advantage of the market. But yet we look at what happened this last week, there were 944. So we're actually down pending 7% week over week. Now, what happened last week that may have caused people to just, I'm going to hold tight for just a moment. What happened? Oh, so it doesn't take a lot to digest that, you know? Yeah, we know what happened. It was a tariff tap dance, right? And yeah, so people with uncertainty, nobody's going to do anything when there's uncertainty. Now, not nobody, but really no companies, no corporations, nobody's investing. No, I mean, it's just like, oh my God, it's a big time standstill. And so until we know the direction of what, you know, the goal is for the administration now, there's uncertainty. So people are like, locked up tight. Now we have a little bit of good news. I think today, so far, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, tomorrow the whole thing might change. We don't know. I mean, there's so much uncertainty. Uncertainty will put a slowdown on what happens in the real estate market, just like it would any other economy. All right, just slows it down. And so this is what helps us look at it. Now, if we look at our canceled, expireds, withdrawn in the last 7 days, it looks like there was a 67% increase. Every single month, at the end of the month, listings do what that don't sell? They expire. And so if I'm going back the first week of April and it includes the last day of the month prior, guess what's going to show up? A lot of expires, right? So you just have to realize that. And typically you see your sold volume go up at the end of the month too, because most buyers like to close at the end of the month. So you'll start to just see those trends, right? And that's why I like to have 4 weeks of data normally on here, because it shows me better trend lines. And then price adjustments. Anybody track price adjustments? So it's hard to know what's happening in the economy, you know, locally if we're not looking at price adjustments. Does anybody subscribe to Housing Wire by chance? They've got some really good data. They have this thing once a week that I look at called the Housing Tracker. We can even scroll down to where it starts talking about the Housing Tracker. But if we look at Utah, we're basically about less than 10% of our active listings are experiencing price adjustments, okay? Less than 10%. Nationally, if we scroll down even a little bit more from that, nationally, even a little bit more price cut percentage, we look at the data. Nationally, you can see in 2025, 35% of the listings experienced price cuts. How's Utah doing? 3.5 times less than the national average. Perspective matters, right? So my job and what I'm doing for you guys, giving you access to that and hopes that you'll continue to do this kind of thing on your own, is that you want to look both at a national economy and then you want to look at a local economy, so you have an idea of what people are hearing in the headlines versus what is actually happening for real time here locally. And so your job is to be the local economist. Can you see if you were doing this once a Monday? By the way, this takes me about 45 minutes to put together every week. 45 minutes in the morning, I put this together. I go to the Housing Tracker on Housing Wire. I take some of that data, I put it down, I read it, I digest it, and then I go and I get all of my own data, you know, on the MLS, which you guys saw at the top of that form. Here was the interesting thing. If we scroll back up, and sorry to bounce back around, but scroll all the way to the top of this and just look at your average days on market. Some of you guys are tracking average days on market, but there's your 4-week trend of average days on market. What's happening? Yeah, properties are selling a lot quicker. Yeah, it is great. But here's the other interesting thing. So once a month I do this thing, and let's change over to the screen of the 5-county absorption report. It's going to be a little bit hard to look at for you guys initially, but I'm happy to give the office the ability to share this with you if you want to do this yourself, or you could just say, no, I don't want to do it. Josh does everything for me and I'll just let him do it and look at his stuff. I'm telling you, the nice thing about actually doing this is it does take time to do it, but what happens when you're doing it is it sticks in your head, you know, and that's why I do this. I've literally been doing this in an ISO chamber for a long time, and now I'm just coming out and saying, hey, maybe you guys should be doing this too, right? So the 5-county absorption report, I'm always in the blue here. I'm always tracking what had happened the month previous, what kind of trends we saw from the month previous. And then the current data I always put in the green, right? And then I separate the single family homes from the condos and townhomes, but I'm only doing it for 5 counties. I want to look at what's happening along the Wasatch Front, right? So if we service this area, likely you'll drive out to Tooele and sell a house, am I right? So you want to know what's happening out there. What about Utah County? Yeah, no brainer. Davis, yep. How about Weber? Yeah, that too, right? So there are 5 counties that I like to track, and that's just because those are the counties that I'm working in. And if we look at the days on market, you know, in our counties, you can see that they're vastly different than what we see on the entire Utah MLS. And I like to track those numbers as well. So the other thing I like to track, if we scroll over to the right of this, starting in H, I, J, and K, is I want to track the median price range of what's happening in housing. So I get a feel for the direction of the market quicker than most economists are going to have a feel for the direction of the market. So every single month I'm looking what happened to median prices. Do they go up? Do they go down? You know, are they about the same? And you can see that there are basic changes. And again, I do this with the condo market. You can see the last 30 days, the median price in the condo market is $10,000 lower than it has been for the last 365 days. Maybe that shows some downward pressure, but if you go back to looking at your month supply of homes that are on the market, right here, it's condos, townhomes inside of Salt Lake County, 4.52 month supply. Right, so that's gonna probably start to favor a seller a little bit, right? We don't know for sure, but next month I'll know. If I look at the month previous, look at what the month supply was of condos and townhomes in Salt Lake. Oh, now I have a trend line. Oh no, now it's actually starting to move maybe in favor of the seller, not in favor of the buyer. Right, so you see why I do this kind of thing, and I'm always looking back at what happened in the month before, but I'm always looking at the 365-day totals too, because I want to be able to tell sellers homes are selling, right? Did you know in the last year we had 43,000, is that right? 40,500 properties sell? Is that right? No. Oh no, 46. Add those two numbers together. You know, I don't have it in my head. Sorry, 47,000 properties sold in the last 365 days. That's a lot of homes. Right? So I keep that running tally because I want to be able to be sure, you know, that I have information that helps seller, you know, make good decisions. So Utah's doing great. The under contracts are better. The solds are better. The pricing is pretty stable. But if you're really smart, like smart people taught me how to use some AI stuff. Let's go back to the market stats page. I took all of this information, I turned it into a PDF, I uploaded it into a free version of Claude.ai, and I said, I want to look at this information from the eyes of a real estate agent who's talking to a seller about selling a house. Can you give me some graphs that I could share with that seller that show him what's happening in the market? And guess what I got? Scroll down. I started to get these graphs. These graphs were created by Claude AI based upon a PDF that I had saved of that Excel. So it's able to read everything. It's able to put, you know, everything in graphs so I can compare month after month easily. Some of you guys might like that anyway, just because it's a little bit more visual. And then it gives me some market insights, you know, that I can share with sellers in there. And then it automatically knew, because on my spreadsheet, my single family homes were separated from condos and townhomes. And so it automatically knew to separate condos and townhomes from this. So I have the same information essentially as condos and as the single family homes did. So, and then you can scroll down more if you want to, because what I'm doing every single month is I'm taking all this national data and all this local data, and I'm putting it in my head. I'm doing it for you guys now. I'm doing it for your clients. You're now doing it at a level that you haven't done it before. This is the system that we want to create because you want to be the local economist, right? That's the numbers for the week. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed it.
Thank you. Did y'all get some value from that? So, I mean, I take your time very seriously. And when y'all come in here and spend an hour of your day, I want it to be valuable for you. I want you to take things that you learn in this meeting and be able to articulate it to your clients. So, the more value that we can bring, the more I'm happy. And so, we're going to start bringing the market stats to you every single sales meeting. So. Hey, Kirsten or Samantha or both. Double trouble.
Your microphone. Casino night, Saturday. It is going to be a party. It's going to be really fun. We need your RSVP so incredibly bad. Food, drinks, we need to know by tomorrow. Yeah. Please tell us. Look, I would be happy to take for this volunteer meal. And Kirsten and I. So please, please, please help us help you and your client by RSVP.
And you can actually go on that, just scan that QR code and RSVP right on there. Makai has that on there for us. So we are looking for raffle donations as well. This is an example of one that Heather put together. If anybody wants to donate, this is like cooking stuff, whatnot. So we're gonna have these around. We're gonna have signs by them that will say who donated them. And if you want a QR code on there that can go to like your website or a landing page or something that's informational about you, we'll have that on there as well. We have over 20 raffle prizes. We do have a silent auction item now. The fabulous
You're
Liza
welcome.
and her family have donated a few nights in Nashville at their family retreat, just about 25 minutes outside. So that's a good one. So we want a lot of people to go for that one. And let's see, what else?
Individual agents or teams still can sponsor a table if you're interested. Come talk to us for more details about that.
We are going to send out an email probably tomorrow that will have another like invitation that you can send out to remind all your people and driving and parking directions for like where to go when they get here. We will have a ton of signs outside that will kind of guide them and tell them where to go. They'll sign in downstairs on the main level, and then they'll come up in the elevator, and then they just pop into a party. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We will be taking names at the door. So it's really important that we get RSVPs so we have an idea of how many people to expect. But the people that you invite, we're going to ask them who invited you, because we are going to be billing you later for the guests that show up for you. We don't want to turn people away by having a list that we have to spend a bunch of time checking through, because what if they're not on the list? We want them to come and have fun. So the way that we want to do it is have them say who invited them, and then we will circle back around after the event and Makai will bill you for those guests. And like we said, it's $20 a guest. It comes with one raffle ticket, 2 drink tickets. We have beer and wine. We are doing Roja beer, which is Josh's company, which is awesome. So, and then it gets $100 in gaming chips. And then you can buy more gaming chips. You can buy more drinks once you get in here. Liz, look like you had a question. Yes. So if they donate, yes. So if somebody you know donates a raffle basket, they get 2 tickets, and they need to let us know when they check in they're a raffle donor. Then they don't get billed. Nobody gets billed. They get 2 complimentary tickets for participating. If they're a table sponsor, they get 4 tickets, and then they just need to let us know I'm a table sponsor, and then they won't get billed as well. So yes, if you did get somebody to donate something, you will not be charged for their ticket if you invited them as the donor guest, right? So we just need to make sure that we have everybody articulate at the door, and our check-in people will make sure they do that as well. And then I think, Nick, did you have something? We will just add you again, I guess. So just talk to me afterwards. But I think we need to double check another list now that I'm thinking about it, because we did have people call all of you and we might have some that we missed. So anyway, we don't want to turn anyone away. We want the more the merrier. It's going to be super fun. You've probably seen me with my hobo wagon bringing all kinds of decor. So it's going to be glam and fabulous and fun. So please come.
Thank you. All right, and next we have Amir with Lending. Run.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, so I want to apologize. Last week I wasn't here. I was at the other office, so I didn't get to share with you. I had a video that made it in the last second and it didn't get shown. So I apologize, but it would have been nice. It's going to lead into kind of what we're talking about today. So a little bit of market insight on what's been going on as far as tariffs and effect on market and so on and so forth. I wanted to touch really closely on what happened yesterday. We all know what happened kind of Thursday and Friday, and we hit a bottom on Friday, which we talked about how the tariffs are probably going to hit stocks, but they'll be good for bonds. So everything has to do with uncertainty in the market will create a push where investors will sell off, right? When that sell-off happens, it actually, that money will shift into the bond market, which for us is a pro. When it shifts into the bond market, that's actually where mortgages are traded. And that's why we saw interest rates kind of move down. But then yesterday we had a little bit of a whipsaw that happened. In fact, I don't know if you knew, but in the morning, they actually announced that there was something on X, and somebody said that CNBC actually announced it, that they're actually going to suspend all the tariffs, and they won't have the tariffs. It was for like 90 days or something like that. So they picked it up, and stock market rallied. In fact, it was a pretty significant rally. But then the White House came out and denied it immediately, and that rally went to the pooper. So what happens when you have that type of move in one day of trading? There's something called a margin call. So a margin call means you got to pay, right? If you invested into that stuff and it didn't turn out, you got to pay. And when that margin call happens, that actually affects bonds negatively. So I just
Got you.
So what are you going to sell when you have a margin call? You're going to sell whatever you have. And when you sell whatever you have, you're actually selling the bond. So you can see that we were actually on a very nice trajectory upwards on mortgage-backed securities. And then that margin call, this is yesterday, happened. And while bonds were actually still holding on properly, that sell-off accelerated and we kind of lost that traction that we had. Okay. But don't fret too much because today is really a day of indecision. We're kind of seeing messaging that's coming out that's saying, hey, these tariffs are negotiable, but they're not really going to go away. So there's a lot of uncertainty still within our trading. If you track what's happening on the S&P and the Dow, and I'll show you a little bit where it was this morning and where it is now, you can see that there's a little bit of a day of uncertainty. A day of uncertainty will have trading kind of go back up and down. So this is where the 10-year is. It's an inverse to mortgage-backed securities. And you can see how the 10-year was all the way down. We talked about being under 4%, and we're around 3.9, which is great. In fact, I think we locked as a company, I think we locked about 17 transactions on Friday because rates were dipping into the low sixes. So a lot of my refinance people are in around 6.1, 6.2, which we haven't had for quite a while. But we had a pretty significant turn the other direction when we had that margin call yesterday. Okay, so this is where the S&P is over the last 5 days. We've had a 7% drop over the last 5 days. If you looked at it this morning, actually, it's a little bit different right now. It's pretty close to this number right now. If you look at the graph up here, this is where we were before all the tariff stuff started. And I don't feel like we're still in a correction rate, so it's not like the market's gone to the pooper, but at the same time, this is strengthening everything that has to do with us. We shift it one more time. Same thing if you look at the Dow, it's the same kind of moment. We've had a certain percent decrease with a gain this morning and then back to a day of uncertainty. So that really just means that, you know, we'll continue on that same type of pattern where we shouldn't really see too much fluctuation in what's happening, but we should see mortgage rates kind of improve over time. Can you go back 2 slides to the one? There. So when you have a huge day of motion and then you have a flat day of uncertainty, it signals a reversal in trading. So that really means that we expect the tenure to kind of turn back down to where we were going over the last 5 or 6 weeks that we've been moving towards, what we're talking about. And really the uncertainty is working towards our favor. Recessionary components are actually working. So don't freak out. Because rates are actually probably going to benefit from this. Rates are probably going to benefit from this, which will just strengthen kind of the numbers of the.
Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, and then Chris and Liz, come on up for a fun game. About 5 seconds ago. All right, who knows who Phil Jones is? He is absolutely amazing. Who knows that he has cards, role-playing cards, and they are so fun. You can play it solo, you can play it with your team, you can play it with just one other person. Chris and Liz have been doing this weekly, and they are going to do a little role play for us. They're going to pick the cards, and you can explain kind of, there's an objection, there's a magic phrase.
So what we have
Don't
figured
pick
out is
it.
we actually don't fully
random.
understand how to play the game. There's lots of different ways to play it. And kind of what we do is when we meet weekly, we say, what do you want to go through? So like, I think one of our best ones we've done was we practice what we say at open houses. And instead of saying the things that we normally say, we just kind of changed some of the phrasing. And then we talk about like certain objections we've kind of had over the last week and how we handle them, and then kind of role play how we should have handled them differently. So he's picking an objection, and right? Is that what you're doing? Okay. And then there's basically different categories of like, what are they? Rejection-free openers, perspective changers, stuff like that. So we kind of put them in piles, and then we kind of just pull through. And the thing that's different, that's kind of interesting about the game is that you kind of sometimes go a little out of order of how you would naturally speak, but it's to give you a bunch of different ways to respond to these different objections. If that makes sense. So that's how I'm answering.
I just gave you 3 options for how to answer this randomly selected objection. Okay. So let's call it, do you want this to be a listing appointment or a BBA appointment? Okay. I don't want to commit to just working with you. I've got some friends that are agents, and what if they can help me differently or something?
I bet you're a bit like me, and you are pretty concerned about who is going to best help you, and of course, what your bottom line is. So how important is it to you to work with a friend versus having a choice of the best professional in the industry?
It's done.
I mean, yeah, I guess what I was getting at with wanting options was that I wanted the best professional. Yeah.
So would it be helpful to you, going off these other ones, would it be helpful to you if I come by and show you what I do differently to get your home sold? That way you can make the best choice for you and your family on who to work with.
Yeah.
Smart.
Done. So,
Wow.
So I was hyper-focused on finding cards while she was explaining. So I'm sorry if I repeat anything, but these are fantastic. And I got these at Linda's recommendation because I needed script practice. I got these, and then honestly, I didn't know what to do with them until Liz approached me one day and she was like, "Hey, did you know that Phil Jones makes these cards?" And I was like, "Yeah, they're sitting on my desk." she's like, well, let's script practice with them. So thank you, Liz, for initiating the script practice I've needed for the last 4 years.
Do you want us to do one more? And I'll... Okay.
Sure.
Do another one?
Yeah.
You pick one, and I get to deal with it. You'll find, and there's different ways to play these games, but you'll find that there's all these different options for how to respond to various objections, and you'll find that you have like a favorite few that tend to work for you. Oh, there you are. Thank you again for recommending this. Okay. Let's go to the listing. Liz likes the I bet you're like me.
No, I like, my favorite is, I'm not sure if it's for you, but.
But you like the when I was going through, I found the I bet you're like me and I pulled it out just for you.
Do it.
I'll give it to you. Because it's the one that we know is very powerful, but we always like struggle a little bit.
Oh, I thought we were.
Oh, that's right, okay. I know what I'm doing here. Yeah, Chris, we just don't want to list for that long.
I know which one you were talking about now. You don't want to list for that long. Just out of curiosity, what kind of time window is going to be viable for you guys?
I mean, I think if it's just hard, fake living day with bunch of kids and animals and stuff like that. So, I mean, I anticipated maybe 30 or so days.
Okay, and how important is it to you to get this sold in that 30 days? If we go over the 30, if we're at an average of like 40 to 45.
I mean, we can make it work, I think, as long as we're having good activity, but that timeline is really important because we have to move to Nashville for work.
I know a girl.
Okay, so the way I see it, you have three options. This is the hard one that you have to come up with three options on the spot. So you can. This is why we practice, guys. It's okay. So you give them three options. The first one has to feel like death.
Isn't that the harder one?
The harder one?
No.
Yeah.
First is death. Second is like.
Nothing changes and we just do what you're planning on doing. And the third one is the option you want them to pick, right?
I think it's the opposite. I think it's kind of hard.
You think it's the other way around?
I think it's kind of hard. Second one is death. Third one is what you want.
Okay, tell you what, instead of waiting for me to come up with a great response, it's 11:57, so we'll close here. But these are, I highly recommend you get these, honestly. And if you have somebody you can script practice with, highly recommend it. We do this every Wednesday at 9:30.
And we are going to start doing this again every single sales meeting. And it's not always just going to be them, but we're going to have volunteers come up and do some role play and script practice. Yeah. I'll put this in the microphone. Okay. All right. And we have our awards. So watch this video. Clap. Clap during. Yeah. Keep it going, y'all. Y'all are rocking it. Woohoo! This is great. I love it. All right, congrats everybody. And congratulations to all of y'all. Y'all just clapped for 1 minute and 40 seconds straight. So thank you. We're gonna add some music next time. Because we are running so low on time, my team leader moment is going to be during lunch. So stick around to see how the parting of Sundance is going to affect the Airbnb market in Park City and Salt Lake. Let's get smart. Speaking of that, power play. So for those that haven't signed up yet, we're doing a competition all through Q2. Scan the QR code to sign up. We have a couple of team captains. And it started April 1st. We can be retroactive. There are lots of different ways to earn points, like a morning routine, getting a listing, role play, script practice, any self-care, door knocking. I mean, there's like 60 different ways to get points. And I do it with my team and we're very competitive and it's just a fun thing. And I'm working on some sick prizes for the winning team. So of course, also your business will also be improved. So yeah, sign up. All right. Wants and needs, anybody?
Zach and I are going out of town. We need someone to do an open house for us on Saturday in Sandy. It's like 80th South and 20th East, so good area. 3,700 square feet, listed for $790. Going live on Thursday. Need an open house as soon as possible so I can get letters out and invite the neighborhood for you. And then I don't know if you guys know, I'm kind of a big deal. I was agent of the month.
All right, I got 2 listings to tell you about. The first one is going to be an investor special. It's a 2-story home with a basement, about 2,600 square feet in Harriman, on just shy of 6 acres. It's gonna need a lot of all the cosmetic help. So if you are or if you have any investors, I'd love you to come talk to me about that. What's it? Oh, it's residential. Yeah. I wouldn't bring horses. Not to this. It's too hilly. So there's that. The second listing I got to tell you about will hit the market either Wednesday or Thursday this week. Beautiful, stunning, all the luxury finishes, all the upgrades, townhome in Marmalade. 3 beds, 2 baths, 1,552 square feet. Beautiful awning on the rooftop deck with a hot tub on it. Smart home everything. That'll go for about $625. 3.
I've got a cute little listing in Sandy. It's in the Jefferson Place condos, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, but it's like a 2-level on the top floor. So it's kind of unique there. It has 2 underground parking spots too. 375 on that one. And then we've got another one coming up in Farmington for 520. It's a 3-bed, 3 bath that you could make into a 4th bedroom really easily. Nice big flat backyard and 2-car garage, east side of the freeway. And I don't remember that's. I think that's it for now. Okay.
I don't know if you guys heard, but the Olympics are coming back here if we still have snow in 2034. And we have a great opportunity downtown. Have several luxury lofts that are zoned for short-term rentals. They are New York style lofts. I think if you guys remember, Sawyer Porterfield had these listed a couple of years ago. They have rooftop patios. They are right downtown on Edison Street above Franklin Avenue, which is a really great restaurant. They start at $1 million and you can nightly rental them. So if you have anyone that's kind of thinking about the future and really wanting to invest in some prime real estate downtown, please come talk to me. And then Liz, what am I missing? I'm missing one more. If you have buyers looking for anything, come talk to us. We probably have something.
Did you see their name up on the screen during the awards?
I've got one coming up this week in Riverton. It's 2,500 square foot home, 5 beds, 3 bathrooms. We've got 2 huge sheds on the property that were just barely built. 16,000. 16 by 16 by 10 foot. The entire property is xeriscape. Beautiful home. We've got painted, flooring.
This one is going for 620. Anybody has anyone looking? Nope.
Mine is not real estate related. It's HVAC related. The HVAC team has asked us to keep this garage door open when the training room is not in use because the airflow and us specifically. Also, if you are a pirate team, talk to me because pirates are better than ninjas because we have gold.
So any other wants and needs? All right. With that, all county property management, come on up. Unless anyone else has wants and needs.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Okay.
I just want to say thanks to everyone who is reaching out to me about the properties. We manage properties for people, and so if the house is up selling, we like to I don't know if you have any questions.
All right. Thank y'all so much. And stay here after you get lunch if you want to talk about Airbnbs and Sundance. That's so funny. About to walk around